Hi everyone. There is a discussion currently going on in the comments section of my video, Quantum Physics Abuse, Science Proves God, which it of course doesn't, but I figured since I have been asked to weigh in, I will. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm reading off the screen right now, so, and I'm not gonna bother scripting this video or even, putting up the green screen or anything like that. I'm just gonna do this real quick. Though I doubt it will be quick, because I have a feeling I will start rambling soon. But anyway, there's this guy who goes by the name MMA Guy 13, who says he really liked the video, and yada yada yada, good stuff, but he believes in God. And okay, cool, good for you. But then he says, God does exist, I've seen his glory. Yeah, he gives yeah, it has to do with the double slit experiment and something, and so he asks about what my take on that is, and basically I said, I'm going to sum this up pretty quick, it must be God, or what else could it be? That's an argument from ignorance, specifically a God of the gaps fallacy. MMA Guy, you're basically saying, and this is a recurring theme here that you keep bringing up. If someone doesn't know, then it's God, or it's probably God, or something like that. And that's just not an argument. Well, it is an argument, but it's a fallacious argument. It's an argument from ignorance. And I know you point out later on that you're getting tired of hearing about that, but you're actually making arguments from ignorance. That's the problem. You don't seem to recognize what the problem with that is. And the problem is essentially that what you're saying is no different in the way it's the form of the argument you're making is no different than the form of the argument the flying spaghetti monster created the universe. What else could it be? Oh, you don't know? Well, then I'm right. I mean, that's stupid. And when I phrase it that way, I'm sure you realize that it is stupid. It doesn't matter if you don't know. That doesn't mean I'm right. So that's the argument from ignorance fallacy. So that's what you're relying on here. But I'm going to move on because this is going to get a lot more interesting. As for you having seen God's glory, okay, I don't doubt that you believe that. I really don't. I mean, people see things. You're not the first to say you've seen something miraculous. But obviously your word won't be enough to convince me that what you believe is actually true. Well, I stand by what I said. Because for every person who has seen God's glory, well, maybe not for every person, because there are a lot of people who believe in God, but you're gonna see a lot of people saying they've seen angels, or they've seen Jesus, or they've seen God, and you're also gonna see people saying they've seen aliens and they've seen ghosts, and they are every bit as honest as you are, but they're still wrong. At least there's no reason to believe they're right. I'll put it that way. Okay. So you go on to say, in every area of science, there's reasons to believe God exists. No. Just no. It's that simple. No. Something, I think there's an English fail going on here, but you say something, I assume what you mean is something caused the Big Bang. Could that be God? Sure. But why should I believe it is? I mean, it could also be quantum fluctuations, and we know, we can verify experimentally that quantum fluctuations are real. So I would say that's a lot more likely than God. I mean, if you can demonstrate that God is real, that might change my mind, but, well, to this day no one has. And then we get going. The universe is fine-tuned, and so on and so forth. And that leads me to want to address the fine-tuning argument. And this is possibly going to take a while. The fine-tuning argument is the worst argument for the existence of God that I know of. I mean, it's actually worse than presuppositional apologetics. It's worse than the argument from, I believe it's called the argument from happiness, which basically says, and I actually think this is a troll argument, to be honest. It says, for every desire, there exists something that can satisfy that desire. I desire God to exist, therefore God exists, or something like that. And I think that's a Poe argument, actually. I don't think anyone believes that's a valid argument, but the fine-tuning argument is worse than that. And it's because the fine-tuning argument is an argument against the necessity of God. See, no matter how you twist and turn it, you have to begin with the observation that the universe is such that we can exist in it. Okay, so where does God come in? If the universe had been such that we couldn't exist in it, but we still did exist in it, that would be an argument for the existence of God. At least it would lend credence to the idea that God exists, because a miracle would be required. But if the universe is capable of supporting our kind of life, well then, where's the miracle? The idea that the universe is the way it is because it was made this way specifically for us, well, we already know that that's not the case. We have evolved in this universe. So that's a non-starter. It's a horrible argument. And it's an argument that atheists should use to prove their case. You're hurting your case when you use the fine-tuning argument. Okay, moving on. Let's see where I was. Me and my wife have seen angels. When we pray, they light up the room. How did we both see it if it's not real? Well, okay. I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. I don't know if this is something that happens every time you pray. If it is, I advise you to get a video camera. That would be a great start. You might pray in front of James Randi and win $1 million. Just some advice, and do this under controlled conditions in that case. Now, if it's not something that happens every time, if it was a one-time thing, I really can't tell from what you wrote here. Then, well, it's nothing. It's just, okay, you had a vision or something. You mistook something for something else. And the fact that you said you prayed when this happens, that tells me that you were in a state of mind where you were more likely to interpret something as a religious experience. What if this light had come in through the window when you were taking a piss? Would you have considered it a religious experience then? No, I'm sorry I phrase it that way, but the fact that you said you were praying when it happened pretty much tells me that you were in an altered state of mind, in the sense that, I don't mean in the sense that you were delusional or high. I mean that you were in a state of mind where you would interpret something as a religious experience that you otherwise wouldn't. That's what immediately comes to my mind. So I'm not at all convinced. And then you go on to say something else here, that you. Yeah, Ian Mathwis asked, "Do you have evidence that what you saw was real?" And you say, yes, 2 witnesses. Yeah, one of them being you and one of them being your wife. That's not very good. Had it been a large number of complete strangers, that would have been better. But it's still not very convincing. I have gold particles that appeared on me that I saved. Okay. How do you know they appeared on you in connection with this event? Did you actually check before the event? Did you check your clothes? Okay, I'm gonna pray now. Let's check my clothes for gold dust or gold colored dirt of some kind. Nope, there's nothing here. Okay, let's pray. And then you had these particles on you afterwards. Is that what happened? Or is it this event happened, then you checked your clothes and, oh, hey, there's some dirt here, and it looks like it's gold. Okay, did you have it analyzed so you know it actually is gold and not just something gold colored? And also, let's say it is gold. Let's say it did appear in connection with this event. How does that prove a God exists? How does that prove a miracle? It proves that something put gold on you. I'm sorry, there's no miracle here. And then you start talking about the fine-tuning again, and you say that all the great scientists, like Stephen Hawking, say the universe is fine-tuned. No. They try to explain it away with trillions of other Big Bangs. Well, I take it that means you... I could use that against you as well when it comes to the fine-tuning argument, but I don't need to. Let's accept that this is the only universe that exists for the sake of argument. Well, then the fine-tuning argument is absolutely useless, because in that case we only know of one universe. In fact, there would only be one universe, so there's no way to... There's absolutely no way we could even begin to analyze the probability of this universe having the laws of physics that it does, because we have a sample size of 1, and you can never draw statistical conclusions from a sample size of 1. You can't look at one, let's say, hey, I have an envelope here. It's white. Let's say that's the only envelope anyone has ever seen. Can we conclude from that there are billions upon billions of other envelopes and not a single one of them is white? No. Can we conclude that all envelopes are white and that there are billions and billions of them? No. Can we determine the probability? No. We have a sample size of 1. We don't know anything. Okay. Let's see. You're not impressed with the counter arguments of fine-tuning, the counter arguments against the fine-tuning argument. Well, okay. I don't think you're... I don't think you understand the problem with the argument then. The universe is such that no God is required, therefore God exists. Uh, that's stupid. I'm sorry, but it is. And you repeat yourself saying scientists are in agreement that the universe is finely tuned for life. No, life is finely tuned for the universe because life has evolved in the universe. What else do we have here? You didn't answer how life arose. You're not addressing me, by the way. I just want to clarify that. Well, so what? You don't know how it happened, therefore my explanation must be right. That's the argument from ignorance, which was pointed out, and then you go on to talk about the resurrection of Jesus. Let's see how long this video is. Holy crap. Oh well. Okay, no one has ever come up with a natural explanation of the facts of Jesus' resurrection. 1. There was an empty tomb. 2. The disciples saw Christ alive. 3. Paul, a persecutor of Christian converts, when he sees Christ alive. If Christ didn't rise, please explain away those facts. You can't. No one can. Sure, I can. Fact 1, prove it. Fact 2, prove it. Fact 3, prove it. These are not facts, these are statements you're making. And in fact, all of them come from the same source that has no support anywhere. You cannot prove the Bible by looking in the Bible. You have to look for confirmation elsewhere. And by the way, you can forget about eyewitnesses, because no amount of eyewitnesses can ever be sufficient to prove something impossible. If you have 500 people, you know the example, 500 people saw Jesus after he rose from the dead, allegedly. Interestingly enough, we only have one source saying so, the Bible. We don't have 500 independent written documents. But if we did, we would have 500 documents, each with a credibility of 0, and 500 times 0, well, that's 0. Now, if you could demonstrate that a dead body can rise up after 3 days, let's do an experiment here. When someone dies and donates his body to science, I would be for that, by the way. I would do this experiment. I'm willing to actually put it in my will. Once I am declared dead, have another doctor verify that I'm dead. So I'm talking about independent confirmation that I am actually dead. Then put me in some cave for 3 days. And if I am alive after those 3 days, then you have a case. I mean, that would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Then what you're saying could actually have some credibility, because there would be evidence supporting the claim that a human who dies can come back to life after 3 days. But until we see that, why should I believe this? It sounds to me like, I'm sorry, it sounds like bullshit. But again, Ian points out that his ability to explain them, even if these events, even if he can't explain them away, and that's actually very easy. I just did. I mean, prove it. They could all be made up. You know, it's that simple. Inability to explain away something, that doesn't mean it's true. That's an argument from ignorance. And then you say, the facts of the resurrection are not disputed on both sides. I guess on either side, you mean. Neither side disputes it. Actually, yes. But, well, okay, I could be an asshole here and say, you are kind of right. There's nothing to dispute, because there's no reason to believe it. But I don't know of any scientist who actually believes it. Feel free to prove me wrong. And I should clarify, I don't know of any scientist who believes it and takes it further than it's just a personal belief. I mean, would he argue for it as a scientist rather than as a Christian? That's what I mean. And you repeat it. The disciples really believed Christ appeared to them. Paul was converted. Yeah, according to the story, but the story has not been demonstrated to be true. Christ died, was buried. 3 days later, he's not in the tomb and appears to friends and an enemy to believe this is ignorance. Okay, is this ignorance? No, no one is saying it's ignorance. You misunderstand. The argument from ignorance is not you're ignorant. It's you. It's if I tell you, you don't know, you can't explain this, therefore whatever I say must be true. It's a logical fallacy. It's the name of the argument from ignorance is just a name of the fallacy. Yeah. Then we go to another question. Hi Marty, can you explain to me the double slit? No, wait, sorry. Wait. Can you explain to me the double slit experiment? Do I have this right? If no one observes an object, it's not there. No. This video has gone on long enough, so I'm definitely not going to explain the experiment. If no one observes an object, it's not there. No. It's still there. Because nothing says that an intelligent observer has to observe it. If something interacts with it, it is being observed, just not by an intelligent mind. Okay. There, I think this video is long enough now. Bye.